this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States of the FM network. I'm here right now exactly in front of the Mohave County Sheriff Office in Mohave County, Kingman. I'm here with a special guest, and this is an emergency broadcast. I'm not using this term lightly because I tell you, this is a very serious matter. It's about freedom or complete slavery. And as I said many times, we don't need to wait for the United Nations troops coming on our soil. We don't need to wait for Chinese troops or any type of other invaders. We already are under tyranny. And when I'll show you exactly what means tyranny, tyranny means completely living without law. It is no more the law of the land. This is no more about under constitutional Bill of Rights, but about some arbitrary power of an elected bureaucrat that they think they can write laws just because they have a pen and some piece of paper. Now, what we're going to face right now in Mohave County is exactly the same situation many other people, many other business owners and also Americans are facing in different parts of this United States. Right now we have with me, I have the honor. I don't know this man in person, but I've been following exactly what he's been doing on YouTube in his part of this Mohave County, standing up for his private business, standing up for his property, private property, standing up for his family and his tradition and also his heritage of a rancher, okay? His name is Lavoy Finicum.
Yes.
Here we go.
Well, thanks, Luca. I really appreciate you having me on. And we're actually standing here in front of the Mohave County Sheriff Department. And so I want everybody to know that I'm here and I just met with the Mohave County Sheriff. And I want people to know that I recognize government. I recognize Mohave County as the legal law enforcement. And so I'm not an anarchist and I'm not against government. I'm just asking for the proper role of government. And so I had a wonderful meeting with him wherein he talked about trying to stay neutral, making sure that things didn't turn out violent between me and the federal government. So
let's ask you before, because people, I've been following you on YouTube, but I would like to give the short story, exactly what happened to you the last few months, this sort of exchange between you and the BLM, okay?
Yes. Well, what it is I've gone ahead and acknowledged the county as the proper place for me to pay my taxes to. Instead of paying a grazing fee to the federal government, it should go to the Mohave County. And so I've canceled my grazing with the federal government, and I'm acknowledging Mohave County as the proper place to do that. Now, the reason why this is important, you need to understand, is that the federal government controls 1/3 of our land mass. And in this control, they've taken it to court and they say we have complete legislative power whatsoever over 1/3 of the land mass of America and over 90% of Mohave County. And I'm saying that's not American. I don't elect these people. They're not accountable to us. They're not under the power of recall. And to explain is that a bureaucrat behind a desk can write a statute, okay? And that statute has the force and effect of law. And then that statute or that law is implemented and enforced by agents, armed agents, that are empowered with lethal means if necessary to enforce that. And if you get contrary to that law or that statute, you're hauled into a federal court. So all three branches of power are combined into one head with no representation. That's not American, and I believe it's repugnant to the spirit of the Constitution and to the letter of the Constitution.
Now, question, I know you specifically, you have a few hundred cows. I mean, how many heads do you have?
I'm a small rancher. I've only got probably about 100 head under brand right now. And
okay, so you got your cows, that's your job, that's your life. And what exactly is the problem? First of all, the government, did you pay so far all this year, and you've been paying this mafia fee, as I call it?
Right. Yeah, and people need to understand is that unlike Clive, where they were trying to force him off, I've had nothing but good relationships with the BLM. I've never been delinquent in payments. I've never been overgrazing. I've never had a trespass fee. And the people I work with are good people. I like them. But the principle is, do you own and control this land with complete authority? And they say, yes, these are grazing permits. They are not rights. And we're permitting you to use them. And I'm saying, no. This is a personal property right. This forage right, this grass, I don't own the mineral rights, I don't own the hunting rights, I don't own the rights of access, that belongs to the public. But the grass is mine. I bought it, not from them, but from an individual person who had it before me.
You know what really sounds to me, and I come from Europe, that really we never really had rights. We always been between under the Roman emperors. We're going back to the lords and kings, and and the popes. This is exactly the same things under when you were under the king in the Middle Ages. That if you want to go there and walk on the road, that's a king's road.
King's road.
If you want
King's
to go,
forest.
if you want to get hunting, you don't have a right to survive or to thrive or to feed your family. That's a privilege that the king is going to give you. Things not really changed so much, and this is supposed to be America. And what I find most disgusting for me, that these people, as much as they can be nice, I'm sure they're human beings, they got families and they live in our community. Guess what? Even the Gestapo used to work under Hitler. They were family men, some of them. And there is no excuse, guys. If you are working now for the BLM, and this is Luca Zanna speaking, not my friend here, you should start to look for another job, in my opinion, because I wouldn't serve evil like that. But let's go back to business now. Exactly when all the problems started. I know you have some problem with the water, that according to what you said, you have some sort of a... Let's go.
I need to be careful in this, and I'm glad you brought it up so I can clarify a little bit of it.
Yes.
I had an inside tip that I need to be careful of my waters. I went out there, two of my drinkers, two of my trick tanks, they were plugged up. And so I'm laying at the BLM's feet, but I have no evidence, and so when you accuse people without evidence, you need to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, it took me about a week to get those tanks running again, but I did get them running, and so that is good. And again, I recognize Mohave County as the appropriate form of government. I recognize Jim McCabe as the duly elected law enforcement.
It wasn't elected, it was appointed, but that's fine. For now, this is our sheriff, and we stuck with that. That's fine. Now, question is, exactly, because you are out of the blue, or finally, I would say, you say, you know what, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to pay anymore, you guys.
So in other words, I'm saying, I need to be consistent with the principles. If I honestly believe that these are grazing rights and not permits, and that this land should be administered by the county and the state, and that the 10th Amendment should be upheld, if I continue to pay my grazing fees to the federal government, I empower what I consider an illegal and illegitimate entity. And so, to be consistent, I had to say, I wrote a letter to the Solicitor General, and they sent it back to the Mohave County Sheriff, saying that I appreciate you helping me manage my ranch, but I will no longer need your service. I am hereby canceling all contracts with the federal government. And so now I said that's where I'm at. Now they've actually already contacted the sheriff. They've contacted other state agencies. They've actually, I just finished the interview or the meeting with Jim McCabe, and they asked to be deputized. They asked for there's the FBI and the head of BLM law enforcement. They asked for the sheriff to deputize them. And I really appreciate Jim McCabe saying, no, I'm not going to do that.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, that is.
I'm glad to hear that. I always want to give everybody the opportunity to prove themselves, and that's a great start, because the fact that the agencies, the federal agency, ask to the sheriff, they know that they don't have that authority unless we give it to them.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're familiar with Sheriff Mack, especially the Supreme Court case, Mack Prince against the United States. You know that?
A little bit, yeah. He's always been in struggles with the federal government.
Yeah, but more important, it's been a struggle. Sheriff Mack also, he won a very milestone battle against the federal tyranny, and reminded to the federal government that they have no jurisdiction in our counties.
No jurisdiction.
Unless there are 3 specific exceptions that we won't go here, but this is for sure, it's not about cows or grazing rights, okay?
Not cows or grazing rights.
So that's the point, the sheriff has that power, and we must, at this point, as people, we the people, we citizens, Thomas Jefferson said something, okay? Correct me if I paraphrasing it. After all, I'm from Italy.
Okay.
But after all, what he said, we will get the tyranny that we will allow it. Okay? So now, think about it. Think what happened at the Bundys. Few hundred of us, American people, say, you know what? You tell us that we are slaves just because you say so. You tell us to jump just when you say so. We're not jumping, and we are not your slave.
Right.
And we are standing up as a free human beings here together, standing close. Even I don't know you, I didn't know the Bundys and many other people. We don't even eat cows. It's not about the cows. It's not about any specific group. It's about freedom and due process and our Constitution. So this is the time. All of you guys and girls, men, women, children, and everybody can understand this show. It's time that we decide how much tyranny we're gonna let happen. Before, the struggle was in Nevada, up there in Mesquite or wherever it is. Now it's going to be probably in Mohave County.
Yeah.
What you're facing exactly? You got a nasty letter from them?
This is what, well, they're following procedures. Now that I said that I'm not going to pay the grazing fee, and I turned out, then they now send me a letter saying, you're in violation, you're in trespass, and for about every 10 days it's about $1,500 that my fees rack up. And so by the end of the year I could be looking at about $50,000.
Not even the mafia gets the interest, by the way. They got a little more lenience.
And so I informed Sheriff McCabe that I have no intention of leaving, no intention. And I also told him that I'm not going to pick up a gun and be the first one to point it at somebody or shoot at anybody. And so,
don't worry about that. They do that always.
Yeah,
they point at the gun first.
Yeah,
so far we know their modus operandi. And they like also to shoot normally a mother holding their child. Okay, I wasn't in the country, but I read history and look what happened in different parts of the country, like in Idaho in the 90s. Okay, unfortunately this is happening, and I hope these people working for the BLM or the federal agency understand that not because they tell you that that's an order, you must follow that order. You have a Bill of Rights, you have a Constitution. More important, you took an oath. Some of you, many of you, all of you should have taken an oath to uphold that Constitution. So if your superior Gestapo tells you go there and knock him down or arrest that person just because you say so, think about it. Are you going to follow the order just because somebody tells you, or are you going to stand with the people and with America and the foundation of this country?
Yeah, and I can just ask the American people, do this thing. Get a map of the United States and pull up and say, public lands held by the Bureau of Land Management or the federal government. And you'll see back east that it's very little. But as it gets out west here, the federal government had a duty to dispose of these lands to the states. And as they got out here further and further west, they got slower and slower at disposing the lands to the states until they finally says, no, it's ours, we're holding it. And they'll say, well, we're holding it for the people. But they have no constitutional right to hold that land. They can only hold lands for the defense of the nation. The Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. Forts, docks, arsenal, and other needful buildings. And so, in other words, the federal government has the right to own land for the defense of its nation. But they don't have the right to own and control, 90+% of Mohave County, 98% of Nevada. And we don't elect these federal bureaucrats. They're not accountable to us. That's anti-American.
Exactly. Nowadays, even worse. Even if the Congress, wanted to do something like, decide which land we can use or not, that would be bad enough. But now the point is that there are some just low-level bureaucrat, some local BLM office, just because they can have some ink and paper and start to put in the federal registry whatever they think is right. Like, for example, I remember that in Nevada just a few months ago, they said about 3 million acres, they're supposed to be off limits for the people. So that means only them, the semi-gods, and whoever wants to be there according to their people. I mean, it's no more, and look, it's happening already now. They're closing down in Mohave County different trails. They're closing down in different states, like in Oregon, trails.
That should be up to the county commissioners, the county supervisors, to that government closest to the people governs best. And those people are elected. I can pick up a phone and I can reach my Mohave County supervisor. I can reach my sheriff. You think I'm going to reach Barack Obama? You think I'm going to reach John McCain? That's insane to think that they're going to hear me or have any concern about me.
I'm sure you're familiar with the magic word, Agenda 21. That it is nothing new, it is not a conspiracy. A few years ago, of course, people used to laugh at us. My listeners understand. If you don't understand, guys, just Google it, okay? This is now mainstream. And bottom line is very simple. Agenda 21 is the United Nations plan to declare all the rest of humanity a bunch of serfs, because they will control the resources, they will control the land, they will control the water, they will control our food production, they will tell us where we live and when we live and how we live, and if we can live at all. So that's the reality now. It's happening. This is happening right now in Mohave County. They don't want people like you, first of all, being still out there, living like some sort of a semi-free life, okay?
Yeah, I love that life.
Number one, and number two, more important, you produce food. And that's not good, because we're supposed to eat as serfs only what they gave us. And more important now, it's the mindset. If they can prove that they're gods, okay, and we must kneel every time they walk in front of us. If they tell us, by the way, this land is mine, just because I say so. So every time you walk over, you gotta pay. You pay once, you pay twice, he's becoming God and you're a slave.
See, Luca, you need to understand is that the holdings of the federal government control increases each year. Okay, for example, the ranch just next to me, it used to be owned by a ranching family. An environmental group came in here called the Grand Canyon Trust, and they purchased it. And then they turned around and gave it to the federal government. So now the federal government's, they're holding both the grazing right and claiming the land itself. And that's not the only one. Down further on the strip, there's other ranches that they've bought and they're holding it, no cattle upon it. And so every year they increase their control and ownership over the land. And you know, it's very soft, it seems to be very benign, and it doesn't affect most of the people in the United States right now, but indeed, if you can control the land, control the food production, you can control the people. And so we need to get back to the Constitution in its original intent, and that is a limited government. Federal government dealing with those things that protect our border and protect our nation.
Perfect. And you know, guys, now this is my message for all the listeners. People that they may agree, especially people that do not agree, or maybe people that they're normally lazy, say, you know what, after all, I don't even eat meat. I eat vegetarian or whatever. I don't live in the country. Who cares? Guys, this is not about meat. This is not about anything like personal. This is about the freedoms that belong to all of us.
Yep.
And this could end in a very powerful and peaceful way. Of course, wind now is speaking in. This could end in a very powerful, peaceful way if at least, let's say we have 200,000 people in Mohave County, okay, approximately. Okay. Even just 1% of us say, you know what, I don't know this guy that is talking about cows and grazing rights. I don't even care about him. But guess what? He is my brother in freedom, and I will go there and stand up in front of him, not even in front, side with him, peacefully, to say, you know what, you federal scumbags, go back to Washington, because that's all the place you belong. And this is me speaking, by the way. You're not saying scumbags. This is Luca Zanna. Be sure that nothing else. I tell you, you are a bunch of scumbags and you're leeches, parasites. Because really, all you do, you don't help us in anything. All you do, you create more drama in our lives. We were doing fine before you come in trespass in our counties, before you trespass in our states. We were doing fine with the ecology. We were doing fine with the nature. We were doing fine with the economy. We were doing fine. You came here, you destroyed the ecology, you destroyed the nature, you destroy our resources, and you put us out of business. So my personal message to all the BLM people: if you're nice, change job. If you are corrupted, go to hell. That's Luca Zanna talk.
Pretty strong words there.
This is me, as I say. You know,
I agree. I
could be put in jail in Italy if I say this stuff. That's why I'm here. Okay, I still have freedom of speech, so go to hell.
Let's deal with some specifics here.
Yes.
That's not even have to do with the cows or the grass.
Yes.
But the richest uranium in all the world is right out there on the Arizona Strip. As a young man, I worked on those wildcat rigs, and that ore is recoverable in a very ecologically, very environmentally sensitive way. It's subterranean, it's small, and once they recover it and they reclaim the land, you can't even tell the mine's there. There are billions and billions of dollars sitting there that somebody just wrote on. You know, the Department of Interior says no more mining. We didn't vote on that. We didn't accept that. If the mining was opened up there on the Arizona Strip, you would have tax revenue flowing into the city of Kingman. You'd have jobs. You'd have people out there feeling good about themselves because they're busting their butt, earning a living, working in the mines, working on the wildcat rigs.
If I can say something, you know, I don't know. This is just a conspiracy, but the point is, I maybe believe that maybe that's exactly why they don't want you there, because at the end of the day, so far we have proofs like McCain and Flake, you know, giving also Holy Land or whatever it's called, special land, you know, heritage land from the Apache or other tribes out there. They give it to foreign corporations. Like we know very well that the bandits, there was behind a document that there was proven that a big part of the land where the bandits they were operating, they were pretty much given as a deal to a Chinese corporation to try to do some solar farm for a steel. So I don't know the whole story, but I tell you, normally when they want to send somebody out of this property, because you are almost like you are nuisances, you know, you're there with your family, your horses or whatever, your ranch, you are paying the butt.
Look at that. There's great wealth out on that Arizona Strip.
Exactly. And I think we don't know all the story, but regardless, people have the right to use the public land, and we are not supposed to be living as in fear and always paying this mafia fee. You know, in Italy it is called, if you have a business You pay taxes first, of course,
Right.
you know, whatever you need to pay, a lot of money. And then every week you got a man come there and ask you for the not official tax to the mob. You know, I tell you, I don't know what is worse, the mob or the federal government. At this point, at least, you know, the mob you can shoot back. That's a little more fair. At least you can defend yourself. With the federal government, you can't win very much. So,
and one point I do want to make is that I'm not a freeloader. I'm not taking something that's not mine, and I do believe in supporting the proper role of government. And so, in lieu of my grazing fees that I no longer will pay, I'm going to pay a 2.5% off my gross of cattle protections, a production tax to Mohave County. So I want to support Mohave County. I want to support this government that is closest.
did
to
you
me.
speak with the county supervisors?
I did. In fact, they actually called me back, and they're going to travel all the way up 300 miles up to the substation up there to visit with me.
Wow.
Gary Watson, the head of the Fish and Game, and the brand inspector.
Good.
I'm not sure their motives. I'm not sure, because I have talked to Gary Watson, says please put in the mechanisms to receive my production tax, and he says, well, I have to talk to the BLM first. I said, well, why do you have to talk to the BLM to receive a county tax? I said, well, so anyway, they've contacted me. They're going to meet with me this Friday, and I'll explain the same things. I hope it goes well, and I appreciate them coming to visit with me.
Okay, listen now, for everybody out there, if they want to help you, even just understanding better the struggle that you're facing. Because this is a struggle for you, your family. You're not going to have a picnic, okay? It's going to be, you could have just paid the money and be happy.
Yeah, I could be living fine.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't being oppressed. The fees they was asking me were not onerous.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm making the stand on principle. But let me tell you, they'll come at me through financial means. Their stated goal was to do this administratively first before it goes to any physical type thing. So yeah, I'm going to have a fight on my hands. But as long as I can remain standing, there's no way that I'm going to leave. I'm not going to let them take my cows.
Okay, that's why I'm here, guys. This is not about being greedy or getting an extra dollar for yourself. This guy could have just said, you know what, whatever, I'll pay you like I've been paying all these years.
Oh, you've been cheaper.
And everything's fine, it's cheap. Now, dealing with the devil is kind of dangerous, okay? And we must at least respect a man who's standing for the principles, regardless if you agree with him or not. That's my personal opinion. Now, what I would like to ask you is this. Do you have a website or a place where people can follow pretty much in real time what's going on with you?
I do. I went ahead and created a website called One Cowboy Stand for Freedom. It's a website where I post any YouTube videos I make. I try to put out a monthly newsletter, and also to finance this, I've written a book that's just been published. I wrote it actually 2 years ago, and it's called Only by Blood and Suffering, Regaining Lost Freedom. And that's a way that if people want to help support, they can purchase the book. It's on Amazon. It's doing really good, 5 stars.
Wow.
Yeah, people have been very generous, and I'm really grateful for that. But it's on Kindle, it's on Amazon, and it teaches the principles of the natural rights of man versus the collective in a novel form. It's about a family trying to come together in a time of national crisis.
So say again, please, the name of the website.
Lavoy Finicum, or it's One Cowboy Stand for Freedom.
.com, I guess, right?
Yeah, .com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, this is pretty much the message right now. You heard it. It's happening in Mohave County, Arizona. Well, probably next time, or maybe at the same time, it's happening in some other counties somewhere in the United States of America. It's happening everywhere, and it's going to get worse and worse. This is like a pack of coyotes. You know, they come at night and they see if they can get away with a couple chickens. When they see that the chickens, they're good, and the person is not watching the chicken, guess what? Next time they're going to come and they're going to eat also your children. So be careful.
One last thing I would like to mention is at first it was just a single rancher in Nevada standing up, and that was Clive and Bundy. Now I'm standing in Arizona, and now there are ranchers in Utah standing, making the same stand. And so you have the witness of 3 separate ranchers, 3 separate states saying the same thing. So it's not just one person making the stand.
And that's why they're afraid, because it's like a virus. It's a good virus. It's called freedom. It's called standing up for our rights. It's called making our founding fathers proud. After all, we've been sleeping too long. It's time to stand up. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, and I really appreciate it. If you move your ass, you do something, start to make a phone call to this BLM. After all, they are not gods. The phone that they have and the chair where they put their fat asses, it's our chairs. We pay for it, and I'm saying these words, nobody else here. So tell them politely but stern, say, you know what, stop acting like God, okay? If you want to really be a boss, you go to your wife and boss your wife around. That's my ample message from Luca Zanna. And don't go away because we got more news going on. And don't forget, if you want to support the show, since I'm not corporate sponsored, you can go to my website, zanna.us, www.zanna.us, and I'm very familiar with Homeland Security. You go there every week, I see you. You never buy any of my music, bastards, but you can buy any of my songs for 99 cents, zanna.us. Ciao!